Hey, everybody, and welcome to Making Sales Social Live, brought to you by Social Sales Link. I'm Bob Woods, and I'm joined by co-host and fellow LinkedIn and social selling professional, Bryn Tillman. Bryn, how you doing?
Hello, my friend. Happy 2023.
Happy. Welcome to Making Sales Social Live, as we share LinkedIn and social selling training, strategies, and tips that will have an immediate impact on your business. Join Bryn Tillman and me, Bob Woods, every week. Making Sales Social Live. This is the recorded version of our weekly Making Sales Social Live show. As you can tell, Bryn and I are putting a big yay behind this year because 2023 is going to be a great year. So as the new year gets underway, it's a perfect time for us to assess and maybe even reassess how we use LinkedIn for social selling and sales activity. Bryn and I have our top 10 activities you should consider doing on LinkedIn in the new year. Everything we'll be talking about today will help you start those all-important sales conversations easier than before, when you likely were, maybe you were doing some of this stuff, but you probably weren't doing all this stuff. So we're here to give you some ideas on what you could do to get even more of those conversations started. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is probably the biggest one, because as we've said before, everything that you do on LinkedIn drives eyeballs and drives people to your profile. So a profile refresh is probably the biggest number one thing that you can do.
It's pretty funny because so many people set it and forget it. Like they put their profile out maybe 3 or 4 years ago and they never really look at it again. Now, although I am constantly updating and you have some great ideas for updating, there are still times where I'll go back and read something. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so old. There are so many things we want to look at. But before we go through the sections of the profile that you can focus on, I want to talk about the strategy and the concept. So ultimately, as Bob, you mentioned, all roads lead back to the profile. We want to make sure that the profile is doing its job. And if your goal is business development, the profile's job is to convert your visitor to a conversation. And so as we go through the profile, I want you to start to think of it in terms of, rather than me telling everyone how great I am and how I can help them, literally use this opportunity to be the resource. So instead of telling them how you can help them, actually help them. Not independent. We still need to talk about our services, but we don't want to start there. We want to make sure that we're earning the right to talk about how they can buy from us. So let's go through quickly, Bob, your sections and what they should do or what we should all be doing in 2023.
Yeah, so with the profile, we've got a couple different things going on here. Top of the fold is important because this is what entices people to want to learn more about you and about how you can help them. So you're looking at things like your photo. Is your photo up to date? Does it look like you? I mean, actually, Bryn and I have had to change our profile photos this year because of certain events in our lives. All of them good, by the way, but but our old photos were no longer indicative of who we are and what we look like. So we had to change those suckers. Also, make sure with your banner, number one, that you have a banner. And number two, that it really reflects who you are and what you do and how you can help people. Next section.
Can I just add to?
Yeah,
So
please.
one of the things, and this is mine, if you watch the little cover story or LinkedIn video behind my face, I don't look like that anymore. I had glasses. Right. I had cataract surgery. I don't have glasses anymore. So I know part of my commitment in 2023 is to update that video.
Yeah, same here, because I've lost a little weight, and you could definitely
A
tell
lot.
even in between the photo that's up there now and when you hover over it and my heavier face appears, that I definitely need to update mine as well. So sometimes it's the little things, but little things can go a long way, and that's definitely one of them.
Absolutely. Yep.
A big thing though is your headline. So headlines have to tell who you are, how you help people,
But
the
who you
results
help?
you bring. Who you help.
Who
I'm sorry.
who you
Who
help?
you help this is what happens when you come off of 3 weeks of vacation. Sometimes things slide in your mind a little bit. So how you help and the services that you provide essentially. If you're
Let's
not,
start over. Let's start over.
start
Who
over.
you help?
Who you help,
Next.
how you help them,
Next.
the results you bring,
Last.
the services you provide.
You're amazing. That was awesome. Just for clarity.
Just for clarity,
Just
absolutely.
for clarity. Woohoo. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Perfect.
So
Thank
if
you.
your headline isn't doing all of that, then you definitely need to reshape it. And if you want kind of clues on how to do that, visit mine or Bryn's profiles. Both of ours are done in that way. So one of the things, and this is number 2 on the list, but one of the big things to really keep fresh, to keep your profile fresh, is with your featured section. So you can keep that fresh with new content as often as you can. So I liken this to like walking into a grocery store. So imagine that your profile is a grocery store, which is wild and wacky, but imagine it like that. What is the first place that you come to? The produce section. Everything there is fresh, it's vibrant, it makes you want to explore the entire store more just based on what that is. Your featured section is like the produce section of a grocery store. Everything in there should be as up to date as it can be. It should help people. So definitely keep that, helpful thing in mind. The content should be educational and purely educational as well, not sales oriented. And, just keep that whole idea of fresh and new and creative in there. People will notice it, especially because it's very graphical. We call the featured section a scroll stopper, and it's big because people will stop as they're scrolling through your profile to see what is in your featured section.
Awesome. So lots of people are asking the 4 points in
Yep.
the headline. So
Yep.
who you help. So transforming the way technology leaders, like who you help, how you help them, what is the result that you bring. So like mine is transforming the way professionals sell. So
Yep.
who do I help? Professionals that sell.
Right.
By converting connections to conversation.
Conversations.
Right.
Both of
So
ours are
that,
very similar there. Yep.
right. So that's the value that we bring, right? And then what do we actually do? LinkedIn, this is mine, LinkedIn and Sales Navigator training, profile development, startup advisor and investor. That's another. And then I have, in this case, I had extra space. So I ring my bell for social selling insights. But ultimately, I am including who I help, how I help them, the results that they get when they work with me, conversations, and what we do is the LinkedIn and Sales Navigator training. So those are the areas. Go ahead.
Bring up Ron's question really quick because that's a really good point. So Ron's asking, with the headline, do you find it's more important to be brief or to tell more of your story? So that's a really good question. I would say that, to hit on those 4 things, you're probably going to have to be pretty brief like we are, because the rest of the profile is going to tell your story. And so people can scroll down and actually consume all of that as they go farther down into the profile. You really want that headline to serve like a newspaper headline, to give people just enough to want them to read more into the story.
Yeah. And if you're hitting those points, I mean, I do take advantage of the real estate. There are 220 characters there.
Yep.
But so to Bob's point, I would say put it out there and then ask your network, what do you think of this? Does this resonate with you? Remember, so the goal of that headline is simply to get them to keep reading, to resonate with it and create enough curiosity that they want to know more.
Yep,
So
absolutely. Absolutely. So we still have a ton of points to go through. And oh my God, time is just
well, let's
flying.
go to the next. We'll go to the next thing. So beyond profile, what's the next
Oh,
one?
profile. So next we're going to go to finding new sources to oh my God, to curate, not create, because you're curating at this point. Find new sources to curate content. So these are the sources that you go to when there's something interesting happening in your your industry, or things that your audience are going to be interested in, that you bring in and then link to outside of LinkedIn. So finding new sources for this is very important, because you always want to have new, fresh content coming in. As you have that new, fresh content, you're going to need more sources for that, because sometimes places don't publish all the time. Other times they may not publish every single thing that you want to see. And sometimes these places just go out of business too. So you want to be able to draw from as many sources as you can to bring that content in, so that you can comment with your own strategies, with your own thoughts on it, and to really spur conversations with your audience, with your audience of connections through the posting of that content.
So let's talk about, where do we find that? Number one, hashtags. You can search posts and keywords and hashtags, right? So that we can find content around those topics. Number two, take a look at your clients and your prospects' activity. Who are they engaging with? What are they engaging on? Is there a common influencer in your industry that's showing up? Take a look at associations that serve the industry, right? What kind of content are they putting out? You can use Google for this, or Feedly.com, to find really good content to curate. I'd also say spend a minute taking a look at the industry that your clients serve. So go one beyond them. What influencers are your clients engaging with? Because that's a really good area to curate.
Yep. So the next one is something that sounds basic, and we teach it as like a basic type of thing, yet it came up in one of our group coaching sessions today. So it's basic, but it's so important to not only do this initially, but to continue to do it probably once a quarter as well. And that's take inventory of your connections. You got to know who you're connected to and how you can serve them with content, and whether or not these people are the people who you want to start sales conversations with. And LinkedIn makes it really easy for you to take inventory, because you can download all of your prospects into a spreadsheet. You can use that spreadsheet to sort and to really determine who you want to contact, and take things from there.
Yeah, so I love this. Who have we been ignoring? That's
Yes.
really the question, right? We, as business development people, we are out there, day in and day out with net new connections. Yet we probably have hundreds, if not thousands, of connections that we've totally forgotten about. So when we do what Bob just recommended, which is export your connections into a spreadsheet, put together a category. Often we say, conduct CPR to your connections. Yes, we're breathing life back into them, but we're identifying clients that we've worked with, prospects that we're connected to that we're ignoring, and referral partners. And then we want to re-engage with them in 2023. This is a wonderful opportunity to start reaching out. Little bonus note, use personalized video. I know I'm jumping ahead. We'll come back to that because that's one of our things, but use personalized videos to start those conversations.
Looking to up your LinkedIn game? The Social Sales Link team has you covered with our LinkedIn Sales Accelerator, a guided social selling program that includes training, coaching, and so much more. Visit socialsaleslink.com/in for more details. Again, that's socialsaleslink.com/in.
The bottom line is, we have probably hundreds of people already in our network that are folks that we want to have conversations with, yet we're totally ignoring them. So thank you, Bob. Let's take inventory.
Let's take inventory so that we can do the next thing, and which Brent has already said, and that's send videos. And what we're talking about, the videos, that's okay. No, that's fine. All of these always end up working together anyhow, so it doesn't matter. We're specifically talking about videos, one-to-one messaging videos. So this isn't content related, what we're talking about right now. We're actually going to get into that in a minute. But, this is where you look into the camera of your phone or your desktop, whatever, say, hey, Brent, how are you doing? And then you just send a video message like that at that point. Video messaging is so impactful because it's not a text related message. People actually get to see your eyes, and it's almost like you're having a two-way conversation, except a two-way in-person conversation, except it's not two-way, but still it's much more intimate than a text message could ever, or a text-based message, I should say, can ever be.
And you get about a 90% response rate. Just that alone is amazing. So Bob mentioned desktop. From the desktop, if you're using something like Dubb, and if you're curious about that, you could go to socialsaleslink.com/Dubb, DUBB. I want to check and make sure that's good, but I think it is. You can check out Dubb from the desktop, and that does all kinds of things, including tells you who's looking at it and for how long, and you can offer other content. But if you don't want to make an investment from the mobile app, if you go into messaging, you can actually send a free video to any of your first degree connections right inside of your mobile app. And so, there's lots of ways to reconnect, but we think that personalized video is the best way to do that.
So the next thing that we're going to talk about is choosing your content mediums, and we'll explain what those are in just a second, and then create processes around them so that you can use and reuse content so that you're not having to create new stuff constantly, which is very important. So content mediums are like the text only posts, are video, which is where video comes in, but we're talking about more of video posts at that point, as well as polls and documents, which can change into sliders if you have a multi-page document on there. And so what you do with those, you share that content, and then you can pull from that content to actually create other forms of content as well.
Yeah, so that's a great. So what we do, you are witnessing the first step of every week.
Yes.
Bob and I get on a LinkedIn Live, like right now, and create content. In this case, we have 10 tips, right, that we're talking about. Sometimes it's 5 tips, sometimes it's 3 ways. Then our team will take the transcript of this and put out tips in Canva slides. They will take the transcript and edit it and put it out as a blog post on our website. This video is now on YouTube, but they will take this and break it down into 30 to 60 second clips for TikTok. Mostly Bob's on TikTok, and I think I'm on it, but Bob actually knows what he's doing. And for Instagram and for all. So this 20 to 30 minute little spot is the process, and is the beginning of the process for all of our content for the week. So we choose, what do we want to do? Almost every single one of these gets an ebook. We get an ebook out of it lately. All of these get little videos for LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. Each of these will get little tips that for Canva slides. And at the end of this, all we have to do is talk. And we've decided the mediums that we're going to use in order to leverage this time. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a team, there are so many opportunities out there with Fiverr.com and Upwork, where this is an area that's really worth investing in. And you can get, it's a global marketplace. You can get some really good opportunities.
Just real quick, this is also an area, as Bryn mentioned before, where you can take stuff outside of LinkedIn too. So, we do distribute to Instagram. We do to Twitter. I just got a blue check mark on Twitter to hopefully, give us a little bit more extra credibility there on TikTok as well. So, I mean, there are there are other places that people are consuming content that you need to be aware of. You're probably still going to develop most of your relationships on LinkedIn because you can push people to LinkedIn and then engage with them there. But just attracting them initially can happen in a wide variety of places. And everything we just mentioned can help tremendously with doing that.
So I love that. So we'll take a little detour here with Ron's question. If my target audience is both my end user customer, my customer, and professional advisor influencers who refer clients to me, and they like different kinds of content, do I just split my content between them? So if you don't mind, I'll start and then you can add your thoughts around that because I love this stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want you to do, Ron, is go to the lowest common denominator. What of your content would both care about? And then you can then create content at that lowest common denominator place. However, if you create content, the 5 strategies advisors can use to get more referrals, that's different from what your client is looking for. There are a few different ways to get content to people. There's the one-to-many, which is your news feed. I'd be careful and I'd spend time on your news feed at that that lowest common denominator. However, we have found getting content into the inbox of people starts more conversations. So if you have an advisor that you're connected to and you reach out and you just, hey, Bob, as a professional advisor, I thought you might get some value from a recent ebook that we put out. Here are some of the takeaways. Let me know if you're interested. I'm happy to send you a link. Permission-based, but targeted into the inbox. So there are lots of ways that you can do this. You want to make sure that nothing you're putting out confuses the marketplace.
Right.
So that's the one area that I'd focus on.
And there's probably going to be a lot of good content out there that can actually serve both audiences. Now, every once in a while, you may have something that may serve one audience a little more than the other audience, but that doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to be exclusive either. So, I mean, just keep on putting out great quality content. When people engage with the content, just make sure that you're engaging with them and starting conversations with them at that point. So
Absolutely.
the next one we're going to get into.
What number are we on?
We're on number 7.
Ooh,
So I know we got to roll here. And this is something that Bren this is where everything, kind of rolls in and out from one another. Using polls and then the share function to start targeted conversations with the people that you want to start targeted conversations with. That happens through, again, the LinkedIn messaging inbox, because you're going to be creating a poll that you want people to respond to. So you do want to hear their opinions on these polls. And then you're going to go through from the people that you know that you want to start conversations with based on the CPR that you've done with your contact list. And you're going to share the poll directly with them and just use verbiage, something like, as a valued connection of mine, would like to have your quick one-click response to this poll. I would appreciate it. Thanks. And boom. And it's done.
So I love that. And I love that you went back to the inventory we took, right? The people that we've identified. So we talked about sending that personal video. This is another great way to start a conversation, is through the poll. There are, and the interesting thing is we're doing both. We are getting it on our news feed to lots of people, but we are also targeting. So we're hitting both areas. So I absolutely love that. And I will say this is one of the most powerful ways. We actually had one of our members today said, like, he's all bought into polls because he's now engaging very specific people and starting conversations around questions and topics that doesn't have anything to do with sales, but we're starting that conversation. So I love that. All right. Number 8.
All right. Number 8. So, and this is again something that Bryn mentioned in the past, ringing the bell of your prospects, clients, and influencers. And this one is big because this actually gives you a curated-ish kind of feed of the content that you want to see yourself. And it comes into notifications, because what you're doing with your anybody who is a first degree of yours, you can go to their profile and there is a bell near the top of their profile, just below the banner, that you could click. And so each time that they share new content, you're notified of that in notifications. For second degree people, you need to follow them first. But once you follow them, you can then click on the bell, and then the same type of thing happens there. It's just when they're second degree people, there's just one extra step that you need to take, but it's not a big deal. And LinkedIn will show you how to do it as well. So this means that you are getting a feed of the people that you want to see. It should act independently of the algorithm. It appears in your notifications rather than in your news feed, so it's already targeted. It's just a great way to keep up with the people that you really want to keep up with: prospects, clients, influencers.
So I love that. And you just said something I think that's so brilliant, is this really is doing two things. One, you are staying in contact and able to nurture connections by engaging on their content. But it takes us back to curating new content. We're doing that as well, which you just pointed out beautifully. And I love that. I love when we can. So I have to change. It's not kill two birds with one stone, because that's the negative. I love when you we have to find a positive for that, when we can do two things with one effort.
Yep. Multitasking or something like that.
I'm going to put it out there, guys. If you have a good alternative for killing two birds with one stone, I'd love to hear it. Share it with us.
That would be great. That would be great. And that also helps you engage, with number 9, which is engaging with your targeted audience, because everybody that you rang the bell of is, I'm guessing, going to be part of your targeted audience, and they are going to have people commenting and reading their shares that are part of your targeted audience as well. So again, flows right into another good one.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And I think that's what it comes down to.
And then our final one, number 10, is, along with the profile, is probably the other truly biggest one. If you do nothing else, keep showing up. It's that simple. Keep showing up. You can do as much of what we've talked about as you want, but just keep showing up, keep getting out there, keep commenting, keep sharing, keep doing everything so that people know that you are a part of not only the LinkedIn community, but the audience that you're trying to curate, the community that you're trying to curate, if we want to get that far into how that works. But keep showing up, because when you stop showing up, people are going to notice either that, or they're just going to forget about you, which is even worse than noticing that you're not there anymore.
We have gone so over our 20 minutes.
I know, we have gone so over. You can tell it's the beginning of the year and we are just brimming with great ideas. So, well, hopefully you think they're great ideas. We're brimming with ideas, that's for sure.
Yeah, whether they're good or not, it's up to you guys. So, Bob and I really like our ideas.
Yeah, I hope so. So thanks again for joining us on Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter right now, we do this every week. So keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us on our podcast, which means that you're listening to the recorded version of this and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button. If you'd like more info on the podcast, go to socialsaleslink.com/podcast. We do 2 shows weekly, this one and our Making Sales Social interview series, where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many more areas. Bryn and I love doing those as well. So when you are out and about, be sure to make your sales
social.
Yes. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys, and go follow Bob on TikTok. Okay. Bye, guys.
Thank you. All right. Bye, guys.
Don't miss an episode. Visit socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Leave a review down below. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and what you want to hear from us next. Register for free resources
at linkedinlibrary.com. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.